Welcome back to another episode of Memory Card, Level 30 Games podcast that takes a look at the newest titles while drawing a line back on the classics. I'm your host, Drewby, and today with me, I got Joby.
Hey.
How are you, Joby?
I'm good. I'm apparently Joby now.
We're all bees today because we're going to bring you a nostalgia factor of the world of Kirby. So this year in August with the Switch 2 came a Kirby DLC that is of a decent size called Star-Crossed World. This adds to the game that came out about 3 years ago, and in 2022 I had purchased Kirby and played it a little, but something just didn't feel right with me. I don't know about you. Did you beat Kirby Forgotten Land?
Oh yeah, yep. That one of those games that I ran right through it.
Okay. I really liked the gimmick of mouthful and things, but I think at the time I was just platformed out. It wasn't even that year had a lot of them that was going on. It's just sometimes I need a different genre. Right? A lot of the times when we're talking on our main podcast, we're talking about RPGs and adventure games, and this was one of the first ones in a while that I tried to get back into the Kirby franchise, and it just didn't land for me until this DLC. So tell me a little bit about the main game. I'm almost done. I'm about 75% done, but tell me about your original thoughts on the Forgotten Land.
I mean, I was super excited to get a 3D Kirby game. To really have just an actual game where we can like explore a little bit and we can just be in an actual open world. I felt though that it struggled with that concept a little bit because it was 3D, but like you could go almost the entire game without killing any enemies. Like it was very easy to kind of like just walk around them and just take a different path through the level. And if they tried to change it to make it so that enemies were more in your way, it would end up forcing you to be much more linear. Or forcing the game to be much more linear, and then you kind of lose the charm of a 3D Kirby. But seeing Kirby come into the future and really feel more modern and up to date and kind of taken care of like a lot of other Nintendo characters was very exciting. I still, like I said at the top, I still ran through the whole game kind of in one shot. The mouthful mode is cute, like it's kind of clever. The powers that you can get and like how they can be upgraded and stuff at the store is also very cool. It makes it a little bit less repetitive, rather than just having the same 5 or 6 powers. Like, yeah, I mean, there's 9 or 10 of them, but there's 9 or 10, and then there's like 3 different stages of all of them, and you can kind of use them however you want. Regardless of the mistakes that it made, it's fun to see Kirby in a 3D world and in the future now.
Yeah, I think I'm playing on wild mode, and it's supposed to be the harder one where you have less HP and less times that you can get hit. But even there, it's still so easy, and the game kind of lends itself to giving you the ability that you need right before a little like puzzle. Mm-hmm. So there isn't really like the open world that I would have liked in like when we had Mario Odyssey, and that each of those realms is very big. Like I like the quickness, but when it came to Star-Crossed, I completely like fell in love with that added layer. Like, yeah, the enemies are cute and nostalgic from older games, but then you have this like crystal on their head, and they get a little tougher, and their abilities are a little bit different. That it really added this like wow factor of like, this game looks beautiful. They did a nice graphical upgrade from 2022 with a DLC, which was shocking, because at times I was looking at it and I was like, this is like when Smash Brothers like made denim look like real life denim on Mario, and everyone was just wowed and like zooming in on his pants, right? And the other thing was that you mentioned was the mouthful. I thought that they're very cute and like I'm trying to think of what word. They're just very like niche that you use them in certain circumstances where you're like a light bulb and you're brightening things up. Mm-hmm. But this is the one time that when you're forced to use a gimmick of like mouthful, I wanted it to be where you had to use it on an enemy or on a boss battle, because I feel like that would have added a challenge of being a orange cone and having to slam on a boss, and it's something as tough as like one of the whirlwind bosses that's flying all around, and you having to like navigate it like a Dark Souls game.
Yeah, it would have been nice if you could take some of those powers a little bit further into the level and yeah, try to fight the bosses with them, or be forced to fight the bosses with them.
The other thing you mentioned was the upgrades. As soon as I realized that like Time Stop had an upgrade, I was like, there's no way that this could get better. And then it was like, oh, you're literally stopping time and dealing damage to everything and everyone, and you're running through.
It's
and I was
insane.
just like, I think even the comment says we didn't know it could get bigger and better, and or bestest or whatever. And I was just like, you are 100% correct, because every time I upgraded an item, I was like, this is exactly what I wanted from this item, and it just got so much better from there.
Yeah, they did a good job with the upgrades. They were very cool, except for the flame sword. Not because it's bad, but because the final upgrade is so overpowered, it's insane. It's like the only weapon worth using at that point.
Is that the Meta Knight sword?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like when Smash Brothers came out and you had Meta Knight and like Kid Icarus, and everyone's just like spamming those type moves that are just broken.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to mention on it was that the zones, like, I'm so tired of us doing the same zones at the beginning. Like, the first one was like the forest, and the next one was the plains, or vice versa. But then it wasn't until the third zone that I really fell in love. The Big Top, the Wonderland or Wondaria, which you're in a like, I don't want to say Hershey Park, but yeah, a Hershey Park or like a Disney World, and the music changed, the atmosphere changed, and everything just like, I wished that was sooner rather than waiting a little bit, because I feel like when you play a new game, you really want to see where are the limits of these games going.
Yeah, I can see that. That wouldn't have been a bad idea to open with that and just, hey, this is a brand new kind of experience for everyone. We're not going to throw you against Wispy Woods right from the start. Here's what we're looking to do. Here's how we're going to draw you into the game. But I don't know if maybe they just kind of wanted to keep that idea, like that we always start with these kinds of levels, and this is still a Kirby game, so we're still going to give you the same thing.
Yeah, as soon as I saw the Whispering Woods enemy, I was like, yeah, when have you not done this? When has Meta Knight not been in a game for a long time? Like, since he's come into existence, he's always going to be there, which I appreciate. I mean, Meta Knight is one of the coolest enemies in a franchise.
He's basically Zero from Mega Man. Like, he's Kirby Zero.
I never even thought about that parallel, but that makes sense. I loved Zero. As soon as Zero showed up in Mega Man, it was like, this game is the greatest game. And then you're right. As soon as Meta Knight showed up, and then years ago when Meta Knight took off his mask and he's just a blue Kirby, I was just like, this deepens the lore to no extent. Another thing I wanted to mention was the bosses, right? I like the addition of some of the new ones. Like, there was a cat in a Big Top. It was Claw Rolina. It just reminded me of Vega from Street Fighter. It had the claws. It's throwing them at you. Depending on the ability that you have during the fight, can make it easier or harder. But I liked that, again, you're learning patterns like all other adventure games or platformers, that the bosses have a set group of skills and you have to try to master that.
Yeah. The having the boss fights in 3D is a cool effect here, especially because you're just kind of like in an arena for them. So you do have to use like you can't avoid them like you can do with the enemies in the main areas. It's they were very interesting too. Like the bosses all had personality. Like what oh god what was the crazy like kangaroo one or whatever?
Silly Dillo?
Nope.
No.
That's it. Yeah, no, it wasn't a kangaroo. He was an armadillo. That's it. Wow, the interesting pictures you get when you search Kirby kangaroo, though. So, yeah. So the armadillo.
Might have to put that on the screen
I'll send this to Tom so he can see it because it's just very cartoonish Kirby riding a very cartoonish kangaroo with at least 2 other Kirbys in the background. Oh, deviant art, you never fail.
You'll never know what you get today when you're searching with AI and
For real. Yeah, he Silly Dillo was kind of creepy. Like he like creates what I assume is like a toy wife or something or girlfriend for himself, and like dances with it and then throws it at you. And then I'm pretty sure he tries to scoop you up in a box too. Like I think he wants to make you a toy. He's making his own like real life Kirby amiibo. Very very interesting, but like cool personalities for the bosses. They're definitely interesting.
yeah, he reminded me of Animaniacs or like a Raving Rabbit from Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
The first boss, the Gorimondo, is like just an ape, and you're just like, oh, we made DK Bonanza many years before DK Bonanza.
Yeah. He. I forget about him. He's kind of not much of a standout boss, especially compared to the rest of them.
Do you have a favorite? This is a crazy tangent, but a favorite mouthful mode?
I don't know. I like the cone one because it's just silly. Like he's just really funny looking with like the bottom of the cone kind of sticking out of his mouth. Somebody made a model of it and I was able to like 3D print it, so I've got a little 3D printed cone bee. But I also really like the car one because the car usually means like a fun sequence coming up because you can move so quickly and like it fishtails so much. So it's those areas can kind of be annoying because they make you drive on an area of the stage that's like smaller than the car without falling off, but it does usually mean something fun is coming when you get the car.
Yeah, that reminded me of like Yoshi's Island, where Yoshi turned into like a helicopter and a car, and you always knew in Super Mario World when Yoshi like ate whatever it was that you are always in for something fun. And I definitely enjoyed the car mouth. I think my favorite is actually from the DLC, which is the spring mouth. For some reason, just him like jumping and platforming like skyscrapers tall was like fun to explore and find all the passageways.
Yeah, for sure.
Most of the items have been returning as the same. I know what I wanted to talk about is when did we decide that the Waddle Dees are now frenemies?
You know, that's something I realized a while ago, but I think they kind of always have been. Like even like playing some of the older Kirby games, even like they hurt you, but they don't attack you for the most part. Like a lot of times they're just kind of walking around, and you know they're it's an old, you know, in the earlier games, everything is an enemy. You know, anything that isn't a weapon for you is gonna hurt you if you touch it. So the Waddle Dees are just walking around, but like if you jump over them, they don't come after you. In you know some of the older Dreamland games, they come running from the opposite side of the stage, and you just jump, they run past you, and then they fall down a pit, you know. So I think it's kind of an evolution on that. You know, they were just characters that would kind of hurt you, but they just kind of lived there, and now they kind of get a personality, and some of them are good, some of them are not so much. It seems like they all are they're all like kind of slaves, for lack of a better word, to DDD. He just like they kind of don't know any better and don't have a lot of their own autonomy, and he wants power but kind of sucks. So he just shows up and he's like, I run the DDDs now, and the DDDs are like, yeah, that's fine. He feeds me.
I never really thought of it. Now I'm wondering, is there like a no kill besides boss like Kirby runs, and it's just yeah. Now that I think about it, you're right. Like they just walk towards you. They don't. They're not menacing. They're not. I don't know. I just always thought they were an enemy. That man. Now my whole childhood has changed. That these enemies have never tried to attack me. They just are trying to come in for a hug.
A lot of the enemies in Kirby don't really try to attack you. Like, the ones that give you powers do, but, like, I don't know any of the character names because there's no story to most Kirby games, so you don't get a whole lot of background, but, like, there's the spring ones that just kind of, like, bounce, and if you walk underneath them, they don't, the same thing as with the Waddle Dees, they don't turn around and come after you. They just keep going off the stage.
My whole life has changed. Now I need to play all the Kirbys again to see that none of the enemies are malicious. They are all friendly.
Yeah, it kind of makes you feel terrible because you're just going around eating people. Like, oh my god, I'm the bad guy here.
Oh, Lord. Now I'm going to go back and play all of them. I know there are a lot of them on the Virtual Console. Were there any games that you felt like influenced Kirby's Dreamland as not Dreamland, Kirby's Forgotten Land as you were playing? Or any games that reminded you of like, oh, I loved this in an older game?
I don't know. You know, it felt like it really feels like a GameCube game in general. Like I don't know about like a specific one, but it just feels like that time period where companies where developers were like, hey, we can do like actual 3D games now. We don't have to do like split 2D 3D or like we can really give you a 3D world, even if it's kind of linear. We can give you an actual one, and that's just kind of how it felt. Like it was very cartoony and very playful, as Kirby is, but very just very like 3D for the sake of being 3D, you know. It felt, while I don't think it had a lot of parallels with like, you know, going back to 64 instead of GameCube, but didn't have a ton of parallels with Mario 64, it did have that same kind of feel where like, hey, we're doing this in a 3D world for kind of the first time. This is fun to explore, but like, yeah, I don't know if I can think of any particular game. Maybe Bomberman 64. I can see some parallels with that, with like how like the scale of the game and how the enemies are kind of like avoidable for the most part, and how you're taking your, you know, a 2D game and making it 3D for one of the first times. It can see some parallels there, but I never really thought about like what other games they might have tried to base it off of.
Sure. No, Bomberman 64 is exactly what I thought of. Is like there were 3 games on that system, and all 3 of them were brand new to taking a 2D game and making it 3D. Like it's even worse than a 2D game because it's literally just up, down, left, and right from back in the day. But then the exploration and like especially the first 64 game where all the villains are very similar to like Meta Knight and these like Power Ranger-esque enemy, but the puzzles and how to figure out what you need to do with like multiple bombs and navigating this new realm that, yeah, it's an exploration that into a dimension that people are just now learning, right? But luckily with Kirby, Nintendo had the backing of like 64, like you said, Odyssey, Sunshine. Like they've had a track record of what to model it after, and I think they really hit a home run, especially with this DLC that just hit home very well when it came to the gameplay and the music and all of those things.
Yeah, I think that the DLC also did a good job of like tightening up what the main game kind of gave us. I don't know if they're gonna do another 3D Kirby and it's gonna be as good as the DLC, but it definitely, despite the fact that it was shorter and a little bit more focused and really was just going back through levels of the main game, it still tightened it up a lot. Whatever they learned from it, they definitely applied.
Yeah, and I think that's why I continued on, because once I started the DLC, I was like, oh, you're forcing me to play the entire game in order to get all of Starcrossed. So, like, you have to get to a certain level, and then you only get a sixth of the DLC, and then you have to beat the next level to get 2 more levels. But it really added that, like, I'm going to do this because this is so much better than what you did originally, which is crazy, because you had the basis. There's just, like, something off the mark that didn't click until we had this DLC.
Agreed, yeah.
So, now that we've gotten our fill of Kirby snacks from Starcrossed World in Slot 1, we'll delete some of Pokemon Red and Blue from last month and see you in our Kirby game that brought us the most nostalgia.